Have you ever wondered if planets could breathe? What would the rhythm of Jupiter's breath be like? Amid the stillness of space, there are invisible winds, so powerful they could swallow the Earth whole. Those currents aren't just movements of air, they are breaths, the heartbeat of a colossal planet that has quietly endured for billions of years. Tonight, let smart sleep carry you along the flowing winds of Jupiter, where every storm tells a story of energy, balance, and the universe's hidden mysteries. If you cherish tranquil moments, the quiet wonder of space, and the gentle journey of exploring both the cosmos and yourself, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of these magical voyages. Are you ready to listen to Jupiter's winds? Tonight, as you lie down softly, the lights dimmed, and only your own steady breathing remains. Try to imagine this. Out there, in the boundless dark, a planet is breathing too. Jupiter, colossal, magnificent, and mysterious, draws in streams of icy air, then exhales vast, spiraling gusts like the universe's gentle sigh. People speak of Jupiter in numbers, in data, in images beamed back by spacecraft, but few talk about it as a living being, a presence that can sense, that can vibrate, that hums its own private melody in the stillness. Yes, while we drift towards sleep here, Jupiter is singing its soundless song of gas and wind, a song only the cosmos has the patience to truly hear. Jupiter has no ground, no place to set foot, no solid surface. We could call that world's Mother Earth. All that exists is an immense body of endlessly whirling gas, a giant canvas of hydrogen and helium streams, braided together like infinite ribbons dancing in space. Look closer, though, and you'll notice, within that churning, there is rhythm, not chaos, but a strangely harmonious pulse. Perhaps that is the planet's breath, a slow waltz within the tumult, much like our hearts keep time through the storms of life. When scientists sent the Juno spacecraft to Jupiter, they weren't only hoping for a few beautiful snapshots. They wanted to listen, to hear what the winds might say, and the data astonished the world. Winds racing above 600 kilometers per hour, titanic columns of gas rising like spires into the sky, and cyclones that endure for centuries. But if we listen not only with the ears of science, if we listen with the ears of the soul, we sense something deeper. Jupiter is conversing, not with us, but with the universe itself, and we happen to overhear only a fragment of that endless dialogue. In the profound silence of space, wind becomes a language. It whispers, it roars, it sings. It tells the story of atoms that once belonged to the sun, flung outward during the birth of the planetary family. Now those atoms swirl, collide, melt, and are reborn in Jupiter's form, as though this planet were a lingering dream of its parent star, still breathing on its behalf. You see, even in a vast cosmos there are invisible ties between gas and fire, past and present, us and the world's hundreds of millions of kilometers away. If you've ever stood in an open field and listened to the wind hiss past your ears, you know the feeling, something both strange and familiar at once, a sound that makes you feel small, yet somehow part of something immense. Jupiter is like that. Its winds are not only powerful, they are deeply expressive. They carry the warmth of existence itself. For without motion, without vibration, a planet would be lifeless. So when Jupiter breathes, it lives, and every time the winds rise, they prove again. Within the seeming void, life of a kind still keeps time. We often fear places without ground, without something to cling to. But Jupiter survives precisely because of that. It needs no surface to stand firm. It is upheld by its own motion. It offers us a gentle, profound lesson. Sometimes we don't need a fixed point to endure. To keep moving, to keep breathing, is enough. In our most unsettled moments, perhaps we should remember Jupiter, where steadiness is found inside the turning itself. When we look up at the night sky, Jupiter appears only as a bright star, sparkling among thousands of other lights. Yet, behind that glow lies a colossal world, more than 1,000 times the volume of Earth, in ceaseless motion. Its winds curl and cross, forming parallel cloud bands, gold, red, white, brown, like the planet's layered emotions. In each level of the atmosphere, there is a unique harmony, a distinct tempo. And in the deepest places, where light no longer reaches, the winds still blow quietly, yet powerfully, just as within the human soul. No matter the noise outside, an inner current moves in silence, reminding us that we are alive. Consider this. Perhaps Jupiter is dreaming. Each gust is a long dream, circling itself, never ending. And in that dream it recalls the universe's first moments, when everything was stardust. Maybe that's why, when we gaze at Jupiter, we feel something ancient, something primal. It is not only a planet, it is a living memory of creation. In our modern world, we're surrounded by noise, cars, voices, machines. Yet amid all that noise, we forget the most important sound, the sound of breath, in, out. So simple, and yet it is life's rhythm. When we listen to Jupiter, we suddenly recognize that planet is not so different from us. It too has breath, rhythm, pauses, and storms, cycles of rest and resurgence. Perhaps, deep down, the universe is teaching us how to live. We don't have to control everything, we only need to breathe with the flow of time. If you notice, astronomers often describe Jupiter as the solar system's gatekeeper. Thanks to its immense mass, it draws in wandering asteroids and stray objects, protecting the inner planets, including Earth. In silence, Jupiter shelters us. Its winds and tempests are not acts of destruction, but an invisible wall of gas, softening threats from the beyond. And who knows, each time you look up, that small light might be looking back at you, smiling, because it is quietly fulfilling its duty, keeping safe a tiny world called Earth. There is a rare beauty in this parallel. Earth has seas, winds, and the heartbeat of life. Jupiter has wind but no people. It blows for itself, like an endless meditation. We breathe to exist. Jupiter breathes to sustain the balance of space. One side is finite life, the other an eternal breath. Between them lies a meeting point where human awareness touches the soul of the cosmos. Imagine pressing your ear to Jupiter. What would you hear? Perhaps the wind, or perhaps the universe's own heartbeat. Low, even, like an ancient drum echoing across billions of light years. A sound that's both daunting and mesmerizing. There, the boundary between physics and feeling, astronomy and contemplation, falls away. Only one sensation remains: existence. Jupiter, a giant of gas, and also a symbol. It reminds us that some things do not need form to be real. No land, and yet a world. No sound, and yet a resonance. No heartbeat, and yet a breath. And perhaps that is the universe's secret. we say, the wind doesn't merely blow, it sings of vitality, we're speaking of something beyond matter. It is spirit. Jupiter's winds are the planet's soul. They never stop because if they stopped, Jupiter would not be itself. So it is with us. If we cease to dream, to feel, to breathe, we become only an empty shell. Sometimes I wonder, maybe Jupiter's winds are sending a message, a signal, a calling from the giant world to the small beings on Earth. Maybe it says, do not stop breathing. However chaotic life becomes, keep breathing. However the world spins, keep your rhythm. And perhaps, in that moment when you close your eyes, relax your shoulders, and take a slow, deep breath, you are breathing in time with Jupiter, with the whole universe. On certain nights I look up and think, if every planet has a soul, then Jupiter's is the soul of gentle strength. It does not wage war, erupt, or burn. It simply breathes, living by gas and wind, a presence unshowy yet powerful enough to make the universe tremble at its frequency. Like a calm person who softens an entire room just by being there. Jupiter, where wind becomes breath and silence becomes music. A lesson for us. Power doesn't always announce itself. Often it is quiet persistence through which the universe shows its might. And just so, in life, some people say little. Yet, their breath, their mere presence, is enough to warm the world around them. Tonight, when you close your eyes, picture yourself drifting among Jupiter's cloud bands. The breeze is light, as soft as a lullaby. Each current that glides past you carries energy from billions of years of starlight. You don't need to understand, only to feel. Everything is breathing with you. And in that instant, you'll sense among all the winds of the cosmos one gentlest gust, brushing your soul. Because perhaps Jupiter was never far away. It has always been there. In each breath, each heartbeat, each peaceful sleep. And if you listen long enough, you will hear it. The wind belongs not only to that giant planet, it is the universe itself murmuring to you. Rest easy. Everything is breathing, and so are you. And then, as Jupiter's winds slowly dissolve into the hush of space, we begin to notice something deeper behind the curling cloud layers, behind those fierce dances of gas and gale. Something continues steady, tireless, like the heartbeat in the chest of a vast being. If the winds are breath, then the currents are the heart, the invisible heart of Jupiter, keeper of an ancient pulse and the quiet energy that nourishes the entire planet. When we speak of a heart, we think of life, of a beat, of blood coursing through a body, of a hidden sound we hear only when we're very still. Jupiter has no fleshly heart, no blood vessels, no cells. Yet it has something else, ever-moving streams of gas, coiling, surging, plunging into the planet's depths. They are aerodynamic arteries, carrying energy from the poles to the equator, from high layers to deep ones, from light into shadow. Each motion is a heartbeat, each spiral a contraction. And if we could truly listen to Jupiter, we might hear that pulse, low, deep, and never-ending. On Earth, every living creature depends on its own heartbeat. That rhythm doesn't only pump blood, it symbolizes presence. Jupiter, without a surface, without a solid frame, endures in its own way. It needs no visible heart, because its entire body, this immense mass of gas, is a heart. Each atmospheric layer, thousands of kilometers thick, vibrates, circulates, and self-adjusts like a living circulatory system. It is life in a cosmic mode, not biological, yet saturated with cyclical energy and extraordinary self-sustainment. Imagine, far away, streams of hydrogen and helium, lightest, clearest twining like coursing beams of light. They don't merely move, they transmit energy, they converse. Between one layer and the next are countless convection flows, like the human bloodstream delivering oxygen to every cell. Look closely and you'll see Jupiter's cloud bands, the brown, gold, and white stripes like the veins of a giant being, quietly working to keep itself in balance. The wonder is that inside this seemingly endless chaos lies a perfect order. Each current has its direction, each wind its speed, yet taken together they form a single rhythm. As in a symphony, hundreds of instruments sound at once, different voices, never out of time. Jupiter is that symphony, currents as notes, cyclones as drums, and sunlight as the unseen conductor, guiding the whole performance. When Juno's images arrived, scientists were spellbound. They said these flows do not merely spin, they have structure, rules of motion, even cycles. But perhaps beyond the numbers lies something data cannot measure: the feeling of life. A giant with no bones or flesh, no physical heart, and yet it keeps rhythm, regulates energy, and sustains a balance between storm and stillness. Jupiter lives in its own way, and who knows, within that rolling cadence might lie answers to our oldest questions. We yearn to know where life begins, why energy learns to organize itself. Jupiter shows that even inanimate matter, at a certain threshold, can behave like a body with rhythm, with breath, with flow. It reminds us of ourselves, built from those same airy atoms, moving by our own circulations, surviving through a dance between order and disorder. Perhaps between us and Jupiter, the difference is only shape. The rhythm is shared. If Earth has a biological heartbeat, Jupiter has an aerodynamic one, a beat that makes no sound, yet can be felt by intuition. Watching its bands spiral, we almost hear a low thrum reverberate through space, not sound, but sensation, a sense of life pulsing in the void. It teaches us that life need not be measured by DNA or biology. Life can be anything that moves, sustains itself, and harmonizes with the universe's energy. Jupiter exists by motion. Without its currents, it would not be itself, just as the body dies when the heart stops. This leads us to the essence of life. Perhaps living is not mere existence, but ceaseless change, ceaseless motion, ceaseless maintenance of an inner rhythm. Jupiter, vast beyond imagining, keeps faith with this law, never stopping, never ceasing to breathe. Close your eyes for a moment and picture yourself floating within Jupiter's atmosphere. Everything around you is soft, hazy, tinged with pale gold. Giant winds pass by light as breath, strong as an ocean. You feel the pressure surrounding you, yet you're not afraid because there is rhythm. It isn't hurried or harsh, just steady, like a distant heartbeat. And then you understand this is the planet's invisible heart. No blood, no muscle, and still it beats in its own way. Humans measure the cosmos by our own yardsticks. We want to find Jupiter's heart as we would in a body, to pinpoint a center as a firm support. But Jupiter has no such center. It is a continuous whirl, no halt, no boundary between inner and outer. It compels us to think anew. Sometimes a heart is not in one place. It is everywhere, like a melody whose soul is not one note, but the whole. In quiet nights, Jupiter shines brighter than the stars nearby. That light is not its own, but the sun's reflection. Yet that makes it lovelier still. Jupiter needs no self-made blaze. It chooses to reflect another's, softening and shimmering it. Like a kind heart, no fanfare, just a gentle radiance. When that light reaches our eyes, we see not only a planet, we glimpse the universe's pulse sent from millions of kilometers away. Jupiter's beauty lies in paradox. Immense yet soft, fierce yet steady, tumultuous yet in tune. It is the balance we seek. In life, we try to keep everything fixed, still, stable, unchanged. Jupiter teaches that true stability appears only when everything is moving. A heart that stops is a heart gone, but a heart beating evenly within turmoil, that is life. The cosmos may be chaotic, and yet within the chaos a rhythm abides, an inner order. Perhaps Jupiter's most remarkable trait is not its size, but its ability to sustain that rhythm for billions of years. Surrounded by tempests, crushed by gravity's pressure, circling the sun in long, patient cycles, it never loses the beat. Like a wise elder breathing slowly amid the noise, that distant pulse feels close, because within each of us there is a little Jupiter, the heart inside our chest, steady, quiet, unobserved, and faithful. There are times we feel hollow, as if nothing moves within. But place a hand on your chest, and you'll know you're still alive. If planets could sense themselves, Jupiter might do the same, listening to its own currents to affirm its existence. In the universe's vastness, what keeps a planet living is motion, the continued circulation of energy. Here is something curious when scientists study magnetic oscillations and plasma waves around Jupiter. They find the planet truly makes sound. Not sound as we know it, but electromagnetic waves shifted into audible range. When they listen back, they hear deep hums, with faint hisses like a heartbeat, like breathing, like distant whispers of space. This is Jupiter's aerodynamic pulse resonance that travels not only through matter, but through feeling. If we listen with the heart, we'll hear it. Jupiter teaching us how to live in a stormy world, that we don't need ground to stand firm, only an inner current that keeps moving, that we need not blaze with our own light, only reflect the universe in our own way, that every breath, every heartbeat, however small, echoes an ancient cosmos. And when night falls, when you sigh softly, remember, at that same moment, millions of kilometers away, Jupiter is breathing too, with its spiral gas streams like colossal arteries. It beats in time with the universe. Each time you inhale, somewhere in space a Jovian gust might be rising. And so, between you and that planet, a thread runs the rhythm of life, binding every being. In the end, all of us tiny humans or giant worlds share one instinct, to keep the breath. Perhaps the vast universe lives the same way through invisible currents, deep pulses, and an echo that never fades. Jupiter does not merely exist, it is living, breathing, loving in its own way, quietly, steadily, irresistibly. And just as your eyes are closing, still feeling Jupiter's deep breath, the aerodynamic pulse, like an unseen heart beating in the space dark, something else begins farther out, as a heart sometimes clenches, tightens, then bursts forth in a moment of intensity. So too do great storms arise, immense oscillations in the planet's spirit, and among them, one immortal emblem stands out, the Great Red Spot, a storm that has lasted more than 3 centuries, like a fiery eye shining from Jupiter's misted face. The Great Red Spot, the name alone conjures something primal and arcane. It is not just weather, it is a witness to time. While human dynasties were born and vanished, While civilizations rose and fell, that storm remained, turning in silence within the cold of space. Like an eternal eye watching every motion of the solar system, angry, understanding, and strangely solitary. Winds inside the Great Red Spot surpass 400 kilometers an hour, a 300-year fury. And yet, within that ferocity lies a beauty that holds us spellbound. It curls like a vast petal, deep red, blazing against pale golden clouds. It is a wound in the atmosphere, and also a living signature of Jupiter's soul, where energy is never lost, only transformed, cycled, reborn. When we think of storms, we think of ruin, but Jovian storms destroy nothing. There are no houses to topple, no forests to uproot, no oceans to rouse. They exist purely for energy's sake, like a choreography of gas and wind, a natural rebellion that needs no reason. In a way, the storm is Jupiter's life, magnified the planet's pulse quickening when inner energy peaks. Scientists say the Great Red Spot has been shrinking. From a diameter of 40,000 kilometers when first observed, it now spans about 16,000, still large enough to swallow Earth. One day, it may fade. Yet that won't mean Jupiter grows silent. When one storm ends, another is born. As with all things, there is no ending, only transformation. Seen this way, the Great Red Spot is a symbol of renewal, where energy and time meet, mingle, and part like wave and shore. I often imagine if Jupiter were a living being, the Great Red Spot would be its eye, always open, never blinking, watching the universe with each rotation. In that gaze there is the anger of energy and the patience of centuries. Perhaps it watches little Earth, sees us grow, struggle, love, and forget what truly matters. In the endless spirals, maybe it whispers, "Humans, I have witnessed more than you can imagine. All storms pass." The storm exists not only in physical space, it mirrors the tempests within each of us. Who among us has not carried a personal Great Red Spot, a hurt, a wound, a memory that lingers circling the heart for years without dissolving? We think we've forgotten, and then a breeze of recollection stirs it back, fierce and strangely beautiful. Jupiter keeps its spot to remember its life. We keep our scars to remember that we have lived, loved, and endured. What makes the Great Red Spot most admirable is its perseverance. 300 years, meaning it raged when Newton lived, when Beethoven composed, when humanity knew nothing of phones or spacecraft. It has watched every change from afar without stopping. While we transform by the day and the century, it turns in its own realm, constant. There is a rare beauty in such endurance, something modern life seems to have misplaced. The strength to continue, to keep one's rhythm amid endless change. If Jupiter's winds are breath, then the Great Red Spot is the planet's pulse quickening when it dreams of something intense. It is peak energy where gas, wind, and pressure meet in a perfect moment to create the grandest vortex in the solar system. Strangely, it brings no destruction. Instead, it maintains balance, redistributes energy, steadies Jupiter, like a fever not meant to harm, but to heal. In this sense, a storm is not fury. It is the universe's way to recalibrate, to renew. Deep down, the Great Red Spot symbolizes resilient life. Only what is most vital can endure for centuries in such extremes. It teaches that true strength is not in the burst, but in the sustaining energy, presence, the self, even when unseen. Imagine if we could hear that storm, Perhaps it wouldn't thunder like Earth's squalls, but rumble low and far like the universe's heartbeat, a whisper traveling across space, telling a tale of endurance. Each spiral is a sentence, each motion a breath. It says, I was here before you were born. I will be here when you return to dust. Not a threat, but a reminder of impermanence, of time, of the cycles by which all things live. Look closely at close-ups of the great red spot, and you'll find an astonishing beauty. Swirling lines like oil paint, layers of cloud merging like waves of color. Within them lies the elegance of mathematics, the precision of physics, and the lyricism of art. In a way, Jupiter is a giant painter, and the great red spot is the canvas it creates in a moment of feeling, a painting that never dries, always changing, always alive. From afar, the storm is beautiful. Up close, it would make us tremble, its power beyond imagining. This is the spot's perfect paradox, terrifying, yet sacred. Like our inner tempests, inside them we feel only chaos. Beyond them we discover the beauty of being. The universe itself is a chain of colossal storms. From the Big Bang to each birth of a star, each forming of a world, life begins in upheaval, in collisions, in floods of untamed energy. Jupiter's 3-century storm reflects this. Life never begins in calm. It springs from a crash, a gale, an eruption, and after the storm, a new order is born. Perhaps you're hearing these words on a weary night, with your own private storm worries, struggles, emotions circling without rest. Think of Jupiter. Think of the great red spot, a storm 3 centuries old, still beautiful, still keeping its cadence. It doesn't vanish, and it doesn't destroy. It just turns gently, steadfastly, slowly. One day, when it is ready, it will ease and fade, its energy returning to space to be reborn as other winds. So it is with you. Your inner storms will not stay forever. They are part of your life cycle, necessary and passing. When we grasp this, we no longer fear the storm, whether of planet or heart. Storms are natural parts of being. They come to stir, to cleanse, to open space for new energy. Afterward, the sky is clearer, the mind brighter. Jupiter understands this, so it allows its storm to live, does not resist or erase it. It accepts, embraces, and lets that energy circle within its arms, like a mother holding a child in anger. Tonight, when you close your eyes, picture yourself adrift among Jupiter's layers. Far off is the great red spot, vast, crimson, yet not menacing. It simply turns lightly, like a colossal fan balancing the planet's air. You listen to the wind, to the spiral's cadence, and realize this is not anger. It is song, the ancient anthem of existence, heard only by those who are quiet enough. Perhaps Jupiter's secret is here. Even in the heart of storms, it keeps its rhythm. Likewise, the secret of life is to breathe evenly, even when the heart is tempest-tossed. From afar, the great red spot is a sign of might. Seen with the heart, it is a sign of patience, of an endless cycle, where energy and time meet and part. The universe has no beginning or end, only circles within circles. And among those countless worlds, a crimson storm on Jupiter continues to tell a 300-year tale. That every storm, no matter how vast, is but one breath in the universe's endless symphony. And when Jupiter's storms gradually fade from our minds, leaving only their echoes drifting in the endless dark, we suddenly notice something quiet yet profound. No wind on that planet ever truly disappears. All of it leaves a trace, like breath fogging the universe's mirror and settling into ripples of memory. Perhaps, just as humans carry something within us after every emotional squall, Jupiter also keeps something, remnants, reverberations, the aftertones of time. And so, when wind becomes memory, the planet turns into an invisible journal, where every current is a page recording the history of the cosmos. Each stream of gas on Jupiter is not merely a physical motion. Wound within every spiral are billions of fragments of the past, imprints of collisions, of temperature, of light, of moments time seems to have forgotten. When we watch tawny gold bands glide slowly across that world, we are not only seeing the present, we are gazing into layered histories of its atmosphere, stacked like the sediments of an ancient sea. Every wind is a story, every storm is a memory. Together they blend into a symphony of time. We often say memory lives in the mind, but on Jupiter, memory lives in the wind. It doesn't write with letters, carve into stone, or store in data. It preserves through motion, a way of remembering with energy. When the wind blows, it does more than push the air. It carries traces of what has been. As when we take a deep breath, it holds not only the air of the moment, but warmth, scent, and the memory of that instant. Jupiter breathes like that, exhaling ancient memories of the solar system, details even light itself no longer recalls. You may ask, how can a planet remember? But think of Earth. Aren't our winds bearing dust from 1,000 years ago? The breath you draw now may once have brushed the Amazon, crossed the Sahara, skimmed the Pacific's waves. Air is the current of memory, the way time regenerates and cycles. Jupiter, with its vast scale and dense atmosphere, is a colossal archive of such memories, a place where every molecule has collided, existed, and told its tale. When Jupiter's currents strike one another, they raise pressure, birth heat, and alter the colors and shapes of its bands. Yet look deeper, and you'll see this is not only physics, it is an encounter between eras. Particles once buried in deeper layers are thrust upward to meet newly minted ones. In that instant, past meets present. Then, as the winds spiral them away, those memories blend, reforming into a kind of atmospheric memory, something only Jupiter could preserve for billions of years. I often think that, if we could hear the language of wind, we would catch Jupiter's ancient voice, a low, resonant, unhurried narration of the solar system's first days, when everything was stardust. When chaos had not yet learned its shape, it might tell of titanic impacts between newborn worlds, of the first light to touch its face, of the earliest moment Jupiter began to breathe. And perhaps, within that wind, we would hear the universe's own whisper, reminding us that everything has memory, even the air we inhale each day. There is something strange about memory. It never stands still. It warps, repeats, blends, like Jupiter's currents. So too with the planet's recollection. Every new wind continues the work of countless winds before it. Every time a storm rises, the world renews itself, yet keeps the soul of what has been. In this way, Jupiter lives within a cycle of memory, where everything is reborn, but nothing is truly forgotten. Like us, Jupiter breathes out sorrow. Perhaps it is the cosmos's sorrow, the solitude of planets circling the sun in silence, never touching one another. Each Jovian gust carries the resonance of millions of years, as if the planet sighs and tells its story to the quiet around it. It needs no listener, because memory needs no witness. It merely needs to be. From afar, Jupiter's rolling bands resemble rivers of time. They flow ceaselessly, from past toward future, bearing everything along. Sometimes a vortex appears among these rivers like a powerful memory rising up, breaking the placid current. When it fades, the tide of memory is smooth again, but never the same. With every storm that passes, Jupiter changes a little, like a person who remembers, and gains another fine crease of time upon the heart. Humans preserve memory through art, language, and music. Jupiter does so with wind. Every stream is a stroke of the planet's brush, painting an endless moving canvas across its face. If you have seen its close-ups, you'll find spiral curls like a Van Gogh, the starry night of the universe. The wonder is that the painting never fixes. It changes minute by minute, as if Jupiter paints with its very breath, and within every whirl, a living line of memory moves. We forget that planets remember because we see only moments. But the universe does not live by moments, it lives by cycles. Every motion continues another. Throughout billions of years, Jupiter has remembered itself with each new wind. Every rising storm is not only aerodynamics, it is the world recalling a youth, distant and wild and original. If memory is the soul of a person, then wind is the soul of Jupiter. Only wind can carry the past everywhere, bridge distant atmospheric layers, and help the planet feel itself. Perhaps Jovian winds do not know they bear billions of years of history, but the universe knows. The universe remembers through motion. Each rotation, each eddy, each tiniest oscillation is kept in the eternal score of time. And in that music, Jupiter is the deep, resonant note that gives space its depth, its memory, its feeling. When we look at Jupiter, we do not see only a planet. We see our own past. We humans, bodies, breath, are formed from the same atoms that may once have swirled in that atmosphere eons ago. We inhale Jupiter's memory, the memory of dying stars, of cosmic dust, of ancient light. And when we exhale, we return our own memories to space. In that way, we and Jupiter tell the same story, the story of memory reborn in every breath. In one sense, Jupiter is the oldest storyteller in the solar system. It doesn't speak in words or write in lines, it tells with wind. Each gust is a tale, each storm a chapter. It speaks to no one, yet anyone quiet enough to listen will understand. It speaks of something deeper than language, of continuity, of loneliness, of how the universe remembers itself. Tonight, as you lie down and listen to the wind outside your window, imagine that breath arriving from far away from Jupiter, from billions of years ago, from the nameless memories of the cosmos. Perhaps within that breeze is a little of Jupiter, a little of the past, a little of you all mingling, drifting through space as a stream of memory that never ends. For in the end, planets, people, the universe itself are all different forms of memory. The memory of energy, of breath, of winds that once passed. And when wind becomes memory, a planet is no longer just an object. It becomes a being that remembers, dreams, and tells. And perhaps that is why we feel so peaceful when we hear of Jupiter. Deep down, we sense we are not so different. We too live within our own layers of memory, memories that shape our being and keep us anchored in the flow of life. If one day you feel empty, take a long, slow breath. Who knows, riding that air might be a fragment of Jupiter's ancient memory, brushing you lightly to remind you everything is remembered, each in its own way. And as we keep listening to those currents, feeling them pass like breath through the open dark, we realize this. even though every stream on Jupiter bears memory, even though its storms spiral like ancient emotions, the planet never loses its balance. Amid the tumult, it stands firm, revolving around the sun, holding an almost unbelievable inner order. From this, a soft lesson rises: balance within chaos. On Jupiter, everything moves. There is no still instant. Winds rush at hundreds of kilometers per hour. Colossal vortices last for centuries. Hot and cold layers collide without cease. An intricate dance of disorder. Yet through it all, the planet does not fall apart, does not shatter, does not drown in its own force. It persists, astonishingly stable. Jupiter is a master of equilibrium, knowing how to regulate each pulse of energy, when to let fury rise, when to become quiet, when to let storms swell, and when to let them sleep. Perhaps Jupiter's deepest secret lies here in its ability to harmonize the tempest. If winds are feelings and currents are energy, then the planet itself is awareness, the place where everything is reconciled into a single whole. Outside is chaos. Inside, a profound calm, as though Jupiter understands. Chaos is not the enemy of balance. It is the condition that makes balance possible. Only with waves can the ocean learn not to tear itself apart. Only with storms can the sky learn to return to blue. Peer into Jupiter's structure and you'll see it has no solid core like Earth's. The entire world is an immense mass of gas, perpetually turning, with no fixed foothold, and because of that, it becomes more enduring than any other planet in the solar system. No hard center, yet a supple balance like water, ever changing, ever flowing, and yet never losing its true form. Jupiter teaches that strength sometimes lies not in rigidity but in adapting, not in silence but in a rhythm that reconciles opposing motions. We tiny humans are like Jupiter in our own way. Our lives swirl with crosswinds, work, feelings, worries, losses, longings. Each day brings a new gust, sending us in unexpected directions. Sometimes we fear we're losing control, that our inner storm will sweep everything away. But if we listen closely, we can hear a still point, a slow pulse, a steady breath, a quiet trust that holds us together. Like Jupiter, we keep turning, keep existing, holding a delicate yet resilient balance. The universe, perhaps, was born from chaos. The first Big Bang was pure tumult, energy exploding, light and matter flung outward in every direction. From that uproar, order emerged. Stars were born, worlds took shape, and after billions of years, life appeared. In other words, chaos birthed stability. Jupiter embodies this truth, a world whose insides are forever in whirl, yet whose motion remains perfectly harmonious. It does not resist the chaos, it accepts it, lives with it, and turns disorder into rhythm. Look closer and you'll notice Jupiter's bands never try to annihilate each other. They move in opposite directions, yet braid together and slide past in a subtle choreography. No destruction, only adaptation. One band runs fast, another slow, another changes course, yet all coexist in a dynamic order. That is why the planet is mesmerizing. Its beauty is not static perfection, but living balance between opposites. So too with life, where joy and sorrow, light and dark, calm and storm need each other to define existence. We often seek peace by fleeing chaos, by hiding in quiet places, avoiding strong feeling. Jupiter offers another view. True peace is not the absence of storm, steadiness within it. Strength is not never fearing. It is walking through fear without losing oneself. Like Jupiter, no matter how fierce the wind, it never slips its orbit. It keeps circling the sun to its own music. There's a lovely fact. Jupiter has the strongest gravity of the planets, and that pull helps steady the orbits of many other bodies, meaning even while it is tumultuous within, it radiates stability around it, like a person who has learned inner balance and so can share calm with others. Perhaps this is Jupiter's greatest lesson to us. Only when we find equilibrium within can we bring steadiness to the world without. Within each of us, two airs are flowing, one hot, one cool, one strong, one gentle. One reason, one feeling. They collide, coil, contend. That is why we are vivid. With only one side, we would be hollow. As with Jupiter, opposition creates vitality, and like that planet, we mature when we harmonize our inner poles, letting neither consume the other, keeping ourselves from cracking in conflict. I remember an astronomer once said, "Jupiter is the emblem of the universe's forbearance. It does not try to control what happens within. It lets wind blow and storms rise, yet keeps everything in tune." Perhaps that is how we should treat ourselves. Do not extinguish every feeling. Do not force yourself to be calm at all times. Let the winds move through, but do not let them drown you. Peace is not the silencing of emotion. It is acceptance. Then finding your own breath within the swirl. If Earth teaches the finitude of life, Jupiter teaches endurance without end. It survives not by avoiding change, but by living within it. It does not cling to a fixed shape. Each day, wind remolds it. Energy pours through it like blood through a body, and thus it never breaks. The planet stands as proof of a deep wisdom. Only what yields does not snap. Only what flows does not run dry. Looking at Jupiter, we see a beautiful duality, fierce yet serene, chaotic yet harmonious. As if it were reminding us, we needn't choose one or the other. We can be both at once. We can be strong and gentle, rebellious and steady, storm-tossed and warm of heart. The capacity to hold such contradictions is the profound beauty of life. On quiet nights, when wind brushes your window, imagine it as Jupiter's breath reaching you. It tells you, "I too was chaos, and I learned to turn with it." Let that line settle in your mind like a lullaby. Life need not be perfect. It's enough to join the flow. Stand firm in the gusts, and keep your heartbeat steady though the weather rages. In the universe's deep philosophy, there are no absolute opposites, only cyclic balance. Light needs darkness to shine. Order needs chaos to justify itself. Jupiter, with all its storms, winds, vortices, and pressures, is the finest proof, and if we could hear its voice, perhaps it would whisper, "Do not fear storms, they make me live." As the night closes, your breath eases, your heart grows even, and the wind outside softens. You realize everything in life has a way to restore balance, however wild it seems. Like Jupiter, you are learning to harmonize yourself, to live through storms and keep smiling. In that instant, you are not only hearing the story of a distant world, you are listening to your own. And just as we finish reflecting on balance between tempest and stillness, between chaos and harmony, we notice something subtler, almost beyond the reach of reason, the sound of balance itself. Within Jupiter's quiet, within its ever-spinning layers, a faint echo trembles through space, a whisper not Earth's wind but the resonance of another world, where matter and energy mingle in the oldest music the cosmos ever wrote. NASA calls it the wind of Jupiter. Perhaps what they captured is the universe's breath. This sound is unlike anything we know. No beat, no melody, no familiar measure. It is music of energy, of electromagnetic waves, of invisible vibrations. Only the universe understands. When NASA recorded it with Juno, people described a deep, thick howl with cold electric hisses threaded through. Listen with the soul, though, and there is nothing to fear. There is something sacred in each surge, as if the cosmos were whispering, telling its own story in a language no creature can translate. I like to think of that sound as Jupiter's breathing. A long, slow inhalation, low and resonant, crossing millions of kilometers of space and touching us like an ancient lullaby. It isn't literal wind, no air can carry sound through vacuum. Yet somehow those electromagnetic tides found a way to sing in the frigid emptiness where all seems still. Jupiter sings, and that song is the universe's breath, a wordless hymn, a prayer of energy to existence itself. Jupiter's voice reminds us, not only living organisms speak, the universe speaks through light, through waves, through vibration. When plasma belts around the planet quiver, they create their own cadence and send messages outward. If we are subtle and patient, we can receive them, not with ears, but with feeling. Some sounds are not heard, they are felt. The first time I listened, I closed my eyes. The sound came from very far, and also very near, as if it rose from my chest, a drawn-out hum, deep as a heartbeat, then sudden electric rushes like broken breaths. In that moment I knew, this is not only Jupiter, it is life itself. Whether formed of matter or energy, everything in the universe breathes. Planets, stars, even the space between them, each has a rhythm, resonating at some secret frequency. Jupiter becomes, in its way, a vast loudspeaker for the universe's background music, a symphony of breath, of existence. If Earth is the harmony of biological life, rainfall, surf, heartbeats, then Jupiter is the harmony of cosmic life, energy's voice, plasma's hum, electromagnetic wind vibrating its skies. Every planet speaks in its own way. Venus speaks in heat, Saturn in icy rings. Jupiter, world of wind and motion, speaks in sound, a language beyond our concepts, yet touching our oldest feeling, the sense that we are not alone. Imagine that for billions of years the sound has been there, needing no audience, no recording. It simply is. The essence of life is not to be witnessed, but to be sustained. Jupiter doesn't know we're listening to its breath. It just breathes, vibrates, sings its own song, as the ocean sings to itself when winds rise. Perhaps this purity, no purpose, no performance, only existence makes the sound sacred. Some say Jupiter's wind is eerie. Eerie is what we call greatness we have not grown used to. Open your heart, and there is nothing to fear. Like midnight surf, first a roar, then a lullaby. Jupiter is the same. Its voice is strong and gentle, distant and familiar, like an echo from a dream. And suddenly we realize the universe is rocking us to sleep. Picture it. In the cold dark, Juno drifts, swallowed by shadow. Then the waves arrive like an unseen instrument. Every oscillation a gust, every frequency a breath. The sound spreads, ringing across millions of kilometers, striking Jupiter's layers and rebounding. An endless loop, like a heart, keeping time with blood. Space is no longer mute, It is an orchestra. Jupiter, just one instrument, yet the deepest, carrying farthest. Science names it plasma waves and magnetic oscillations. The soul hears a breath. Each planet has its own, its cycle of vibration, its beat of energy. Together they make a living cosmos, inhaling and exhaling over eons. With its mass and pull, Jupiter is the chest of this great being. Listening to it, we hear not only a planet, we hear the breath of the universe we inhabit. If you notice, there are moments of utter stillness when a faint internal ring emerges. Not wind, not heartbeat, but a delicate hum in bone and blood. Some call it the sound of life. Jupiter's recording feels like that, but at cosmic scale, a hum begun at the universe's birth, persisting beyond the dying of other sounds. In its music, Jupiter teaches a gentle truth. To be understood, we need no words. To be felt, no clamor. To exist is to leave an echo. Among billions of quiet worlds, Jupiter sings, and because it sings, we know the universe lives. This reminds us too, even in our silence, we make our own sound. A breath, a heartbeat, a glance, each is music. I like to imagine that each time we listen, Jupiter somehow listens back. It doesn't know us, only that someone is attending to its breath, a hidden bond between planet and person. In that instant, the hundreds of millions of kilometers vanish. We are no longer outsiders to the cosmos. We are part of its song. Jupiter's voice also humbles language. We use words to say what we feel, yet some truths outrun speech. The universe grasps this. Instead of speaking, it sings. Instead of lecturing, it vibrates. Instead of writing, it moves in frequencies. Perhaps this is how the cosmos converses with itself, not in grammar, but in feeling. When we listen, we are learning that language, without clauses or subjects, only rhythm and energy. Tonight, if you close your eyes, imagine yourself drifting in space, afloat in the grand hush, and hear Jupiter's tone returning. Not loud, not sharp, just a distant, low shimmer, soft as breath. Let it touch you, slip through your skin, sink into your heart, and dissolve. In that moment, you will feel what words cannot hold, the sensation of being connected to everything. That sound is not only the planet's voice, it is your own, the deepest part of you resonating with the universe. You may not know it, but when you breathe in, the cosmos breathes with you. When you exhale, Jupiter exhales. Every being, every planet, every star shares one breath. It is the breath of life, belonging to no one, beginning nowhere, ending never. And perhaps when NASA happened to record that music, the universe simply smiled. It was not surprised or proud, only serene, for the sound had been there long before we learned to listen. Now that we finally hear it, the universe offers only this: I am here. I am breathing. And can you hear your own breath? As Jupiter's sound fades, leaving the afterglow of a far-off breath, low, deep, and gentle as the cosmos, we notice something utterly human in that world. The way it breathes, the way it whirls through chaos while keeping its balance, the way it sings its private song in silence. All of it feels like looking into our own interior. Then we understand. Jupiter is not only a planet of gas and storms, it is a mirror of the human psyche. In Jupiter's bands we see more than moving clouds. We see our inner weather, vague, complex, gentle at times, rebellious at others. Like Jupiter, We lack a true surface for others to stand on. We are layered airs, one atop another, feelings, thoughts, memories, fears, all spiraling around a core without clear outline. We live, love, anger, grieve, and rejoice, all mingling like winds wrapping a giant world, and none of us truly knows whether there is a solid center within, or only a deep, turning emptiness of awareness. Jupiter is a planet of motion. Nothing on it stands still. So too the human heart-mind. We imagine we can be perfectly calm, yet our minds never halt. Thousands of thoughts sweep through us each day, like air currents, shapeless, directionless, yet charged. Some are gentle breezes of tender recollection. Some are tempests of worry and fear. And sometimes, like Jupiter's endless vortices, our feelings circle. One small thing, a long ache, a word unspoken, a wound unclosed. We see Jupiter's great red spot and call it a storm, but perhaps it is also a sorrow vast and enduring, centuries old, never vanishing, only shifting in color, shape, and cadence, yet remaining like our deepest human memories. Who among us has no personal, great red spot, something we cannot forget? Despite the years, it no longer hurts as it once did, yet it turns slowly within, a quiet emblem of being a wound transfigured into soul. Listening to Jupiter, we hear a steady rhythm, not fast, not slow, like the breath of meditation. It echoes the cadence of consciousness when we release, when we sit and see within. Perhaps Jupiter proves that, regardless of outer uproar, an inner still point can abide. Amid whirling winds, crushing pressures, and almost eternal storms, it turns in stable grace. So do we, however turbulent within. We go to work, we smile, we live. Calm outside, motion within. Not pretense, simply the nature of life. Jupiter also reflects how we understand ourselves. We believe we can reach the bottom of who we are, yet, like that planet, the deeper we go, the more we lose our way. Inside Jupiter lie layer upon layer of compressed gas, then metallic seas, then a hazy region no one has truly touched. Within us, the deeper we journey, the more we meet. The dim places language cannot define, where emotion, instinct, and memory merge into a nameless flow. Humans often fear the chaos within, fearing anger, fear, and contradictory thoughts. But Jupiter teaches us that chaos does not mean wrong. It is simply another form of energy in motion. Everything in the universe spins, from tiny dust particles to massive galaxies. So perhaps the emotional whirlwinds within us are also part of that same law. Instead of trying to extinguish them, we only need to learn to observe, to see that no matter how fiercely the emotions whirl, they will find their rhythm, just like the winds of Jupiter always return to their orbit. When we look at this planet through NASA's lens, we see majestic beauty clouds, atmospheric layers, and swirling white and yellow bands. But if we look with our hearts, we see a soul, vast, serene, lonely, yet profound. Jupiter doesn't need to prove anything. It doesn't flaunt. It doesn't compare. It doesn't chase the light. It simply is. And in a world where everyone is trying to become someone, Jupiter reminds us that sometimes true strength lies in simply being yourself, even if no one understands. Perhaps this is why we feel a deep connection to this planet. Inside each of us is a Jupiter, a part of the soul where thoughts flow endlessly, where we long for both rebellion and peace. We too have our own storms, days when our hearts rage, sleepless nights, moments when we feel small in the vastness of the universe. But it is in these storms that we find our strength, the ability to endure, to stand firm, to be reborn. Jupiter also teaches us about compassion. Its immense gravitational pull helps stabilize the entire solar system, drawing in meteoroids and debris, preventing them from colliding with Earth. In a way, it's our silent protector, and inside each of us, there's a part that wants to protect, to shield, to keep the world around us peaceful. Even if a storm brews inside us, we still stretch our arms out to bring calm to others. Jupiter doesn't need to speak love. It shows it through gravity. And sometimes, humans don't need words either. Just being there, quietly keeping someone safe, speaks volumes. The most miraculous thing is, the more we observe Jupiter, the more we see ourselves. In the way it changes daily while keeping its essence, in how it orbits the sun without ever leaving its path. Humans are the same. We change continuously. We grow. We break. We love. And then we're reborn. But deep in our hearts, one thing remains unchanged. The belief that we belong here, that no matter the storm, we will find our own rhythm again. If we look at Jupiter from afar, we see only a massive ball of gas. But if we look with the eyes of the spirit, we see a mirror, a reflection of all that humans carry within. When we are angry, we are like a storm on Jupiter. When we are at peace, we are like white clouds, drifting slowly across the upper atmosphere. When we love, we shine like golden bands under the Sunday. And when we are sad, we sink deeper into the dark, dense currents, like the quiet loneliness that everyone has touched at some point. Perhaps understanding Jupiter is to understand ourselves, because within that planet, we see the law of psychology, that every emotion has a reason, that chaos has its own order, and that within every storm, there is a hidden point of balance. Just like Jupiter, we cannot stop spinning, for that is how we exist. When we try to stand still, we lose our life. But when we accept to spin, to change, to collide, we become whole. The universe has its own way of communicating, not with words, but with reflections. Jupiter, in its silence, reflects us, reminding us that everything we see out there is a reflection of what's inside. When we see storms, perhaps it's because inside us there are waves too. When we see peace, it's because our minds are calm. And when we see Jupiter as beautiful, as magnificent, it could be the moment we are also seeing our own beauty, the deepest, most expansive and compassionate part of ourselves. Tonight, as you lie down and listen to the wind through your window, imagine it's the wind from Jupiter, whispering, "I am you, you are me." Because in the end, between the stars and the human heart, there is only one connecting thread: life. Both know how to vibrate, how to breathe, how to hurt, how to love, and how to be reborn. We are not separate from the universe, we are a part of it. And perhaps that's why, whenever we look at the sky, we feel a longing, as if we're remembering a part of ourselves that has been there for a very long time. Jupiter, the planet of wind, of movement, of eternal spirals, is ultimately doing one thing: reflecting us. It reminds us that we don't need to be perfect. We just need to be real. We don't need to be silent. We need to be true to the flow within us. And when we learn to listen to these winds, we will see that there is nothing to fear in chaos, nothing wrong in emotions. All of it is simply the breath of life, spinning evenly within us, just like Jupiter spins in the darkness of the universe, quietly, persistently, and full of love. And when our gaze remains fixed on the image of Jupiter, the colossal planet turning silently, carrying winds, whirlpools, sounds, and the layers of distant memories, we suddenly understand that all of this speaks not just of the universe, but also of ourselves. Every story we've told, from violent storms to gentle breezes, from the planetary breath to the mirror reflecting the human soul, all seem to lead us to one thing: connection. A thin but strong thread that ties us to Jupiter, to the stars, to the vast cosmos, the thread of breath. And perhaps this is where this story ends, in the wonderful harmony between the rhythm of the universe and us. When we look at Jupiter from afar, it's like a massive being breathing steadily in space. Every wind that blows through its atmosphere is not just air movement, it's the heartbeat of life at the cosmic level. Hot and cold currents intertwining, rising and falling, like inhaling, exhaling, exhaling. Not fast, not hurried, but slow and persistent, like the song of an ancient god. And when we listen closely, strangely, we realize that rhythm is not unfamiliar, because within our own chest, there's a similar beat, the human breath, small, yet in the same frequency as Jupiter. In each breath we take, in every heartbeat, there's a silent connection with the universe. When we inhale, we bring into ourselves the air that has passed through forests, across oceans, over mountains, and through millions of creatures, then drifted across space, once part of the ancient atmosphere. Perhaps, within that air, there's a particle that once passed through Jupiter, a part of a wind on that planet billions of years ago. Thinking of this, we suddenly find our breath sacred, because we're not just breathing for ourselves, we're breathing with the universe. There's a miracle in breath. It's the simplest form of life, yet the deepest. We can live without thinking of it. But if we stop for a moment, if we breathe deeply and feel, we'll realize breath is how we speak to the universe. When we inhale, we take in the energy of the universe. When we exhale, we return that energy to space. Just like Jupiter inhales vast winds, then exhales swirling gases, and in that process, there's no separation, only circulation. Jupiter, in its grandeur, is never isolated. It doesn't breathe alone. The winds from it influence the sun's magnetic field. Plasma waves it emits reach the orbits of other planets. Similarly, our breath, seemingly small, also vibrates the world around us. A gentle word, a glance, a smile, all are energy waves sent out, touching others and spreading like Jupiter's breath into space. When we inhale, we and Jupiter and billions of stars all share something invisible, the air of the universe. In every atom, there are traces of supernova explosions, of stars that have died, of planets that have vanished. The universe breathes through us, through what it once created. Perhaps this is the deepest connection humanity has ever had. Not through signals, not through words, but through breath. The universe inhales, we exist. The universe exhales, we return to it. The universe's breath is not measured in seconds or minutes, but in billions of light years. A star is born when the universe inhales. A star dies when the universe exhales. Planets form, Jupiter's winds rise and dissipate. That's the long breath of space. Our breath, though brief, is the miniature reflection of that. We live in the breath, and that breath lives in the universe. When we realize this, we see that all life is connected. Trees, water, wind, planets, humans, they are all just different forms of one shared breath. Perhaps you've had those moments of silence when you could hear your own heartbeat. In those moments, you no longer hear the sounds of cars, people, but only the beat of life in your chest. That is the faintest echo of the universe within you. And if you listen more closely beyond the noise of the world, beyond the thoughts in your head, you'll hear Jupiter's breath, the sun's breath, the breath of distant stars, not with ears, but with the soul, a slow, deep breath, enveloping everything. In that breath, we realize the simple truth. There are no boundaries between us and the universe. We are not observers. We are a part of the painting. Every breath is an affirmation that we belong here, that we continue the story. Jupiter, Earth, and all the stars have been telling for billions of years. Each time we inhale, we say, I am alive. And each time we exhale, we say, I send back my life to the universe. There are times in life when we feel lost, like we are too small in this vast world. But thinking of Jupiter, thinking of its breath, we see everything differently. We are not small. We are just one note in a grand symphony, and even as just one note, we still have a place, still create our own sound, still vibrate in the frequency of life. Just like every wind on Jupiter, no two winds are the same, but together they contribute to the planet's breathing rhythm. Science can measure wind speed, plasma wave frequency, or the amplitude of magnetic field oscillations. But no formula can capture the resonance we feel when hearing that breath, because it's not a scientific emotion, but a primal one. The feeling of a being realizing it belongs to something much greater. When we hear Jupiter's wind, we're not just hearing the planet, we're hearing life speaking to life. The universe is never separate from us. Even when we feel most alone, when we look at the seemingly endless night sky, there is one thing that connects us to everything: the breath. Breath is the thread of existence. It not only keeps us alive, but also helps us feel that we are alive with everything else. When we breathe, the trees breathe with us, the oceans breathe with us, Jupiter breathes with us. Every being is a note in the endless symphony, and when all breathe in together, the world is reborn. When all breathe out together, energy returns to its source. Perhaps this is the greatest miracle Jupiter teaches us. Life, in whatever form, has the same instinct, the desire to exist and connect. Humans seek meaning, planets seek balance, the universe seeks harmony. In the end, it all returns to one rhythm. Inhale to exist, exhale to radiate. Imagine a quiet night, lying under the sky, no sounds of cars, no voices, just the wind gently blowing through the roof. In that moment, you might hear the rhythm of your own breath. And if you listen long enough, you'll feel that rhythm merge with the rhythm of space. That is the moment when the universe and humanity are in harmony, when you are no longer someone living on Earth, but a part of the giant breath flowing through everything. Sometimes we forget this. As life sweeps us away, we rush, we hurry, we seek something distant, forgetting that the connection we search for has always been within our own breath. Jupiter doesn't chase another orbit, doesn't try to be another planet. It simply breathes to its own rhythm, and that's why it has existed for billions of years. Humans are the same. When we learn to slow down, to listen to our own rhythm, we return to the rhythm of the universe, where everything is slow, everything has order, and everything has time to bloom and fade. And then we realize a simple truth that aches. You and Jupiter, though hundreds of millions of kilometers apart, are doing the same thing, breathing. Every breath of that planet is a reminder that we are never alone. Wherever we are, in whatever moment, we are always a part of the shared rhythm, the breath of the universe. When we learn to listen to that breath, loneliness fades. When we inhale deeply, we hear the voice of Jupiter, the stars, life itself beating in our chest. And when we exhale, we send our thanks to space for allowing us to exist, to feel, to connect. Tonight, before you drift off to sleep, take a deep breath. Imagine you are breathing with Jupiter, receiving the energy of the universe with it. Then exhale slowly, as if you are returning a piece of your love to the universe. That breath, small as it is enough to stir the void, enough for some distant planet to know you are alive. You are listening, you are breathing with it, and that is the final whisper Jupiter shares with us. The universe breathes, and so do we. There are no distances, no boundaries, only harmony, because in the end, among all the stars, there is only one thing that binds us all together, the breath of life, quietly spreading like an endless song that never stops. You may now close your eyes and let your thoughts dissolve like mist. If your mind still wants to wander, let it continue its journey on to the next video, where we will dive deeper into the mysteries of the soul. Or if your body is weary, just let this sound gently lull you to sleep. No need to force anything, just breathe. And remember, all you seek lies peacefully inside yourself.